Welcome to the Dr. Ed Show. I'm Dr. Edmund Sulkowski, and we are about health and wellness. You know, you can listen to me live every Saturday morning on AM 1250 The Answer or 92.5 FM, and we have the Dr. Ed Show where we do pretty much the same thing, just without any visual cues. It's all verbal. We have an excellent show today. By the way, you can hear me on rumble.com, Spotify, iTunes. It's an absolutely accessible show, so if you can't hear it live, you can always get to it. We have a wonderful show today. I think it's going to be really interesting because this is something that I do 5 days a week. And we're going to be talking about Pilates today. And we have Renata Beggan with us. Renata, welcome.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
I think it's going to be kind of a fascinating show because no one really talks about Pilates. You hear it and you wonder what the heck Pilates is. So what the heck is Pilates, Renata?
So Pilates started by a gentleman named Joseph Pilates. He, growing up, was very interested in just being active and healthy. He had some sicknesses throughout childhood, so any way that he could make himself feel better. And then come World War I, he worked in a rehab facility with soldiers, and that's kind of how he started developing Pilates. So what we use in class, the reformer, which is what we lay on, and it has all the different spring tensions and everything that we use for our workout. He created that from an old hospital bed where they had those old springs. He would use the soldiers' arms in the springs, different tension to start strengthening everything up. So from there, he kind of started developing Pilates as we know it today. Moved to New York, took it to mat Pilates, which is even more challenging than reformer Pilates, as we know. But that's kind of how the phenomenon started. It basically was just a way to work out without having that high intensity, kind of really hard on the joints kind of thing.
So it's resistance training, basically.
Yes.
And you're working your body against your body.
Pretty much, yeah. So I always tell people we take typical weight training and flip it on its head. When you're lifting weights, the more weight that you have, the stronger you're going to get. But in Pilates, the less springs that we're using, the tougher it's going to be, because then it's all body. So you just kind of have to change your mindset.
So about 27 years ago, it's been, I had multiple abdominal surgeries, and I had absolutely no strength whatsoever. I had a Jeep, and I actually had to crawl into my Jeep because I couldn't lift my legs to get into the Jeep.
Yeah.
And if I went to a store that didn't have automatic doors, I had to wait for someone to open a door for me to walk in because I actually did not have the strength, the core strength to pull that. So what is core strength? Because that's a term we hear a lot of, but it is actually kind of an amazing mechanical body function because a lot of people, as they get older, have to get up and I'm going to do this and push themselves up. That's a sign they have no core strength because I don't care if you're 30 or you're 90, you should be able just to go up and do this.
Yep. Yeah.
And that's actually a sign of health. So what do we mean by core strength?
Yeah, so in Pilates, we refer to that as our powerhouse, right? So that's where all of our movement initiates from. So every single thing that we do, from footwork to our bridging to any arm work, we always are keeping that core in strength. And that's really just your abs, all of those muscles there. But no one really realizes that, like, you use your abs just to stand up and sit down, or you use your abs to pull a door open. So that's what we work on.
Or you use your abs to breathe.
Yeah, you use your abs to breathe. That's another big thing in Pilates. We're all about that breath work.
So what is that, the breath work? How does that influence your ability and your core strength?
Yeah, so the way that we use it in Pilates is we're always inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the mouth, and you want to work on filling your whole lungs with air as you move through your class. So we always say breathe out during exertion, breathe in between, and that helps you not only get through your workout, but you're also strengthening your lungs, which are a big part of every day. Obviously, we need to breathe. But connecting your breath to your movements will strengthen your core as well. So that's another thing that we focus on in class.
And make your breathing easier.
And make your breathing
so
easier.
that your average walking or moving around allows you to breathe better.
Yep.
So you're delivering then oxygen to every cell in your body, and then you're healthier.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I used, when I lived in Arizona, I hiked a mountain every day. In fact, I'll be going to Arizona in a month, and I can't wait to get back on my mountain.
Yeah.
And I would make phone calls all the time because I was always giving conference calls to people. And I would be hiking the mountains and they would say, "What are you doing?" Because I hear noise, and I said, "I'm hiking." Well, how can you hike and talk at the same time? Well, that's core strength, is it not?
Yep.
In your ability to breathe.
Yeah,
because
your
I wasn't
lung
huffing
capacity.
and puffing.
Yeah, so that's another reason that we do incorporate all that breathing. We want to increase that lung capacity. So one of our favorite moves, which we can do later, is the hundreds, and that's a big reason for it. We're trying to get you to breathe in and out while you're doing something that's very core driven and very challenging, but we're trying to increase your lung capacity and strengthen your core at the same time.
So, are there age restrictions in Pilates?
No, not really. You can start, we typically, I wouldn't suggest having a child do Pilates, but they can, once they are teenagers, it's a great thing to start, especially if they're into dancing or sports. Definitely recommend it for athletes, but you can do Pilates up until you're 150 years old if you're active.
So, I'm a member of Club Pilates, and that's where you're an instructor.
Yep.
And I've been doing Club Pilates for what? 15 months now, 14 months.
Yeah, just
something like that. And I was probably one of the first guys to go there. It was all women, and you never got in the bathroom. But no, I'm joking. It was interesting because I think people think it's only a course designed for women, but it's a course designed for everybody.
Yeah.
And if you're a golfer, there's nothing better than core strength. And a lot of men like to golf. I don't, but a lot of men like to golf, and that is a perfect training course for golfing.
100%, definitely.
And I think we're starting to see a lot more men come into the Pilates club.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we always try and promote. Like if you're a golfer, even football players, lacrosse, any kind of athletics, come to Pilates. We're going to lengthen and strengthen those muscles compared to the kind of workout that you're doing when you're doing your strength training, which is tightening everything up. When you come to Pilates, we'll strengthen everything out. Golf, we're working on that rotation of the spine, which is very important in your swing. That core strength will strengthen those hamstrings, those quads. Everything that you use when you're doing a sport, we're going to hit those muscles and help you out.
So no age restrictions. So 70, 90,
yeah,
doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
As long as you're physically able to move.
Yeah, and even if, we've had people come in who are in their 70s and are looking to make everyday life easier. So they're starting from, not really having an active lifestyle and then coming to Pilates. We can modify anything to help.
Yeah, we're going to talk a little bit about that because you have set programs, but you modify those for every individual. So if something is a little too strenuous for somebody, you just don't do it.
Yep.
Or you do it at a little less of intensity or a little less rotation or whatever it takes. So you're not on anybody if they can't totally move to one side or lift their leg high enough or whatever. So yeah.
I always feel like it's such a positive place to be in. It's not like no judgment, no matter what active level you're at. You can always come to Pilates and we'll make you feel like you're getting the best workout for your body. That's something we always say. It's for every body, not just everybody. So, whether it be someone who's been doing workouts for their entire life and they're super flexible and all this stuff, or someone who this is maybe the first thing that they're kind of dipping their toes into, they could come to a level 1 class and both of those people are going to get a great workout.
So what you do is you have an introductory course and you usually offer those at no charge.
Yes, yep, free 30-minute class.
And you introduce the different moves and you talk a little bit about Pilates and so forth, and you have level 1, level 1.5, level 2, and it goes up
from there.
To what?
Yeah, so I think the highest that Club Pilates offers is 2.5, I believe, but we at our studio are only up to a level 2 right now. And that just is kind of based on our members. We've only been in this location for 2 years, coming up on our 2-year anniversary, I believe. But yeah, so we have that free 30-minute intro. You'll come in, you'll get kind of the down low on what goes on at the studio, and then from there you can sign up for level 1. And I always suggest sticking to level 1 for like 10 or 15 classes. When you first get on that reformer and get your feet in the straps, it's kind of crazy. Your body goes all different ways.
Yeah, we gotta talk about that reformer.
Yeah, just to get you kind of body aware, work your way through it, and then also just to be aware of like when we say spring changes, all of that just kind of takes time to learn. And then once you feel comfortable with that, moving up to that 1.5, a little more challenging, we'll do single leg work.
So there's a term in Pilates, feet in straps. Everybody
Yes.
loves feet in straps.
Yeah, that's everyone's favorite part.
Yeah, so you come in and you start at these different levels, but you work at your own pace. But people don't realize that this core strength has to do with digestion, how you go to the bathroom, how you breathe, how you move. It's just so critical.
It really is, yeah.
And we're sedentary today. You know, we sit at desks all the time. Everybody's in front of a computer. You know, my profession, I'm down and up all the time, moving
Right.
from operatory to operatory and all that. So I actually got a ring here that I'm playing with, and I'm surprised how many steps in a day that I take.
Yeah,
Just moving from room to room.
Oh, I'm sure.
But most people plopped on the couch watching some boob tube,
Yep.
and they don't realize the impact, negative impact on their health.
Yeah, I mean, you have to, get up and move your body,
So-
even just a walk.
So how long is a Pilates class?
So at Club Pilates, they're 50 minutes, and we typically hit specific muscle groups throughout that whole class. So we always like to start with our footwork as our warm-up. And even though we call it footwork, we know it's your whole body warming up, really. So that's when we're laying on our reformer or standing up on our mat, depending on what the instructor wants to do that day. And we'll, work through our feet, get some ankle articulation in, wake up those leg muscles, wake up that core. And then we just keep moving through class and hitting all those different Pilates basics and make it challenging.
So you have flow 1, flow 1.5. Is it flow 2?
Yep.
'Cause I've never done a flow 2 because it never fits my schedule, and I'm so busy that I have to actually pick a class according to the time slot that I can attend.
Yeah.
I don't find that to be an issue because I'm moving and I just want to move. And I
Right.
want to keep that resistance training up. And I'll tell a quick story. So I flew out to Arizona, and I was sitting on a plane for hours, and I couldn't wait to go hike my mountain. And the reason I'm telling the story is I wanted you to talk about stretching.
Okay.
So I had been sitting for 4.5 hours, and even probably a little longer than that. Checked into the hotel, got changed, and ran to my mountain. I hiked my mountain, no problem.
Yep.
It was great. 2 peaks, and I hike aggressively. I'm not a slow hiker. Next morning, I get up, get in the car, and I drive to La Jolla, California, which was 5-hour drive, 4.5, 5-hour drive. Next morning, I leave La Jolla, I come back, get out of the car, and I go to hike my mountain. I tore my medial meniscus cartilage in 4 places in my left knee.
Oh my gosh.
So I'm up on the tail end of the hike, and I just lifted my leg, and my leg felt like it got 20 feet long. Pain.
Yeah.
I didn't know how I was going to get off the mountain. Ended up getting on crutches. My problem was that my muscles were so tight and I didn't stretch them out, and my knee took the abuse.
Yep.
So how important is stretching with Pilates?
I mean, it's like one of the most important things that we can do. I don't like to even go for a walk without stretching a little bit beforehand, just because you have to wake all of those muscles up before you do anything strenuous, really, and especially a hike. I can't believe you didn't stretch after being in the car.
I'm just so excited about getting back on my mountain.
Yeah, just wanted to get out there. That's one of the key things that we do throughout class, and I always like to remind people too, especially with like a flow 1, you may not feel like sweaty and like you did this intense workout.
I've never been overheated or sweated at all during any.
But you're getting such good stretching and core strengthening throughout class, and I feel like you don't really realize it when you're doing it, but then you leave and maybe the next day you're like, oh, I feel a little more sore in this area than I did before. But stretching is key to keeping your joints healthy and keeping your body healthy. So we always do that in class.
So 27 years ago, when I had all these abdominal surgeries and I did private training 3 times a week for Pilates, and then I did that for 2 years, and I had absolutely, like I say, no core strength whatsoever. Developed some core strength. Even my physician was so shocked because he figured I'd never have it again.
Wow, yeah.
And my instructor quit. There was nobody else doing it. And so all these years I've never done it again. And I got back into it because of this knee. Because I was told I needed surgery on my knee, and I'm like, nah, I'm not doing that. I don't have the downtime. I don't want to go through the whole process. And I kind of worked through it. Of course, I know how to keep inflammation down and so forth. I got to tell you, I was a little concerned about the different moves with Pilates and how it's going to impact these knee. And I wear knee braces when I do Pilates. I did it actually yesterday without a knee brace. But I don't have a problem with my knee anymore. I mean, I really don't have any pain. It's built up this quad up here.
Yep.
And that's been 2 years, and I'm not looking for knee surgery.
Yeah, so you're feeling good now.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the biggest things with Pilates is it's not so much the focus on your knee, we strengthen everything around it to support your knee, and that'll kind of alleviate some of that pain. So I always tell people, if you have surgery or if you have an injury, once you're cleared by your doctor, obviously, to get back to active, workouts and stuff, try Pilates out as a form of some physical therapy, because we'll strengthen all the muscles around that injury, and it'll help you feel
exactly.
better.
They wanted me to do physical therapy, and I said, nah, I'm doing
I'm gonna
Pilates.
go do Pilates.
And I'm riding my mountain bike, and I'm actually running up and down the steps.
That's amazing.
And, for a good 6 months, I was a little concerned, and I went up and down those steps slowly because of this knee.
Yeah.
And, this knee had all surgeries on it because of injuries. I've been too abusive on myself. But Pilates to me is absolutely amazing. I can't see myself not doing it.
Right.
I'm finding it a little more difficult to get in a Pilates class lately.
I know.
but that's partly due to my schedule as well.
Yeah.
But you have these different classes. So there is Flow 1, Flow 2, Flow 1.5, and then you have cardio sculpting, which is what?
So cardio sculpt is when we put those jump boards on the end of the reformer. So that is for someone who is looking for a class that's going to get your heart rate up. You'll maybe get a good sweat going throughout class. It's basically interval cardio training, but you're laying down while you're jumping. So you're not jumping and hurting your joints. It's good for people who maybe have knee replacements or knee issues. They can get that cardio in without that high impact pounding on your joints kind of thing.
So I've done 3 or 4 of those classes. I stopped doing it because it did bother my knee a little bit, but I think because I had the day before had hiked. I went on a very long walk.
Yeah.
And I think it was a little too much, but I get a little afraid because I don't want surgery.
Right, you don't want to injure it more.
Yeah. And I'm doing Pilates so that I can avoid knee surgery, not
need it.
Need it.
Yes. Yeah.
So, but there's that class, and people love that class.
Oh yeah.
I always get there a little bit early because I leave the office and I go right to Pilates and I watch everybody else, and those are hard even to get into.
Yeah, they're popular.
And then there is a new one, I don't recall the name, stretching something where you stand up and...
Yes, yeah, we have the suspend.
Suspend, that's it. Yeah.
So that's where we use that TRX, those TRX straps. So you're not actually suspended in the air, but that's kind of like the feeling, because you're using your body weight and kind of leaning back, doing push-ups and pull-ups using those TRX straps. So that's another like full body workout. You're going to get a little more of a cardio workout in that class as well, a little more challenging, but we do have level 1 and 1.5 of that one too.
So whatever level you feel you're at, you just test it and take a class and then see how it works for you.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If maybe you have been doing ones, getting comfortable, you jump up to a 1.5 and maybe think, oh, I'm not ready for this yet. Just go back to ones. There's no problem bouncing back and forth.
Are there some medical conditions that prevent you from doing Pilates?
Not so much prevent, but we as instructors need to be made aware of them, because there are a lot of modifications that we have to provide.
And that's the one thing I said when I joined the club was I have this knee problem.
Yeah, so we just always really try and get to know our clients who come into class and make sure that they're comfortable letting us know. But some examples would be pregnancy. It's great to do during pregnancy.
Okay, so you're an instructor there, and you also take the classes.
Yep.
And you were pregnant.
Yes.
And
yeah.
And congratulations, you just had a new baby.
Thank you. Yes.
And you took classes all through your pregnancy.
I did, yeah. So I actually was doing my teacher training on top of taking classes all throughout my pregnancy too. So that was a lot of Pilates every day, all day. But it helped me tremendously throughout my pregnancy to just stay healthy. And I had high blood pressure, and Pilates, I think, kept it completely regular the whole time. I never had an issue. So
you had high blood pressure because of the pregnancy?
No, I had it prior,
Oh,
and then in the pregnancy it obviously
really
gets
went high.
yeah, elevated. So but my doctor was like, keep doing what you're doing. This is looking awesome. So I really am convinced that Pilates helps with all of that. But that would be an example of like, we need to know that because you obviously can't lay on your stomach. After a certain point, we have to put that wedge under you.
Yeah, I was going to bring that wedge up. What is that?
Yeah, so the wedge can be used not only for people who are pregnant, but also if you have vertigo. If you're laying on your back and your feet are above your head, some people get a little dizzy and get some vertigo action going on. So we'll just put that wedge under them to keep their head higher than their
So it's like a
legs.
styrofoam
Yeah,
pad.
it's kind of the same material as like a mat, and it's literally just a wedge that goes in between those shoulder blocks to keep your heart above your feet during class. So it's also good for people if they have really tight low backs. It kind of helps to take that pressure off of their lower back as well. So it's not only for people who are pregnant, but we can use that if someone feels that they need it. So that's one special population that is great for Pilates.
And then you, after birth, you never stopped.
No,
Pilates.
I didn't. Yeah, I obviously I took about like a month and a half off, and then I jumped right back in once my doctor cleared me to get back to activity, and I think it helped a lot with the healing process as well. And it was nice to kind of get a break from baby for an hour and go relax, just me. So yeah.
So you're one of how many instructors at the club?
I believe we have, I should have counted before I came. I want to say we have around 10.
10. So there's Michelle, there's Rachel,
Yep.
you, Vanessa, Lisa,
Jana, Nikki,
yeah, Nikki,
Maddie,
yeah.
Tony.
Who was Tony? Yeah, Tony.
Yeah. Who am I missing?
And I've had every one of those as
Yeah.
instructors.
Yeah, you've taken everybody.
Yeah.
We have a great group of instructors who we all take a lot of time into our class planning. We've all been nationally certified, which means we've gone through 600 plus hours of instructor training, whether that be online coursework, like a full course load, and then also long 6-hour days in studio too.
So let's talk a little. Yeah, they're all great. They all have different personalities, and
For
everyone teaches Pilates a little differently. And then there's crazy Michelle. I take that back. Don't put that out. There's actually I hit my 100 class with Michelle.
Yep.
And then I hit and just by accident, and then my 250th class with Michelle.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so we're going to try to work it so I hit my 500
Yeah, get to
class
500 with Michelle.
Yeah. I've done 342 classes.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And do you feel like the best you felt from it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, my days are longer and hard, and I'm moving 6 days a week, you know, between all the things that I do.
Yeah.
And I have energy, and I don't have joint pain or muscle pain or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I actually look forward to coming to the Pilates class.
Yeah, it's like a nice, calm environment.
There's a mental aspect to it all, because you're concentrating and listening. Now, I'm probably the only one that listens to music, my own music. I have earbuds all the time when I'm doing mine. I don't think anybody else does. But you're listening to the instructor, and you're not thinking about your bill you have to pay, or who got you upset today, or what procedure in the office was difficult, or anything like that. You're just kind of concentrating on your moves and listening, you know.
Yeah, it's kind of that whole mind-body connection that we try and get you to start from the beginning of class all the way through.
Yeah, so I only do it 5 days a week because I think you need to give yourself a rest.
Definitely.
You know, sometimes I'm taking 2 weeks off in June, and I want to hit numbers.
Yeah.
You know, so I've added some classes to make up for the numbers that I'm losing. But you have the ability to go to other Pilates classes, Club Pilates around the country as well.
Yeah. So just depending on your membership, you can, if you're traveling, you can always, go even just take single classes at a different Club Pilates, or if you have that passport membership, you can jump around to any club that you want.
There's actually one down the street from where I'm going.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, where I used to live, but I'm taking a break because I'll be hiking my mountain.
Yeah, go hike.
But it's kind of different than going to a gym. It's kind of different than even hiking or riding a mountain bike. It's a totally different concept.
Yeah.
And like I say, I absolutely look forward to hitting a class.
Good.
I think I'm one of the regulars there.
You are, yes. You definitely are. We love it.
Yeah. So let's talk about these different items that you have over there. So the reformer, which looks like a torture chamber.
Yes, it does.
Made out of wood and vinyl and metal springs.
Yes.
So let's talk about what that does for us.
Yeah, so it's really just another way to take the moves that we start on the mat with and bring in some resistance training. So just adding a little bit more weight to your movements, and also it's a little more challenging because you have to be very body aware. So you're either laying on it, kneeling on it, sitting on it, and in level 2s we're standing on it. So that's why we have those progressions of 1s, 1.5s, and 2s.
And I've done some standing on that reformer, and there's a big difference on the way you I don't want to say feel, but the way you perceive.
Yes. Yeah, it's kind of a little scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're looking down in the well and there's nothing to catch you, and you have to it's all that core strength, right?
And so to describe that reformer, it looks like a bed. Mm-hmm. And there's a movable pad.
Yeah.
And what we call a foot bar or whatever you call it. And there's springs of different colors that give you different resistance that you attach.
Yes.
And then that bed moves. The bed stays still, but the board or the mattress, if you want to call it, the pad, moves back and forth according to the different exercises that you do.
Yes.
And that's where you get a lot of this core strength from those moves.
Definitely, yeah. So I mean, especially when we use those straps in our hands and we do that supine arm work, which just means when we're laying flat on our back and we have our legs up in tabletop, which we can show once we go through some moves. Yeah.
You're going to show it.
Yeah, I'll show it. Well, maybe I'll make you show it. But yeah, when we're doing arms and straps, you're pulling your body weight plus the spring resistance on that moving surface, and you're using your core to keep your body stable while you're doing it. So it may not look challenging because we're moving slowly, we're not, powering through it, but all of those muscles that you really don't work out too much are being worked. So that's what makes it challenging on the reformer.
Yeah, and you usually start off, well, everybody does something a little different, but usually in general start off laying on your back, your feet on that bar, and pushing away from that bar and moving that pad. Yeah,
moving in and out. That's when we start with our footwork. I always like to kind of start there because that also gets the breathing going, right? So as you push away, you're inhaling, exhaling as you come in, starts to get that lung movement going, and also get your mind into class and just kind of check in and leave everything else at the door.
And generally everybody starts off with a little stretching, even prior to that.
Yes, yeah, a little warm up on the mat, or even stretching on the reformer, whatever that instructor's feeling that day, but just to get you kind of warmed up and stretch out a little bit before we start into full class mode. So yeah. We love a good mat stretch.
And then this reformer, there's 12 reformers in there.
Yes.
So an average class has 12 people in there.
Yep.
And then you can also do private class. There's a private room too if you want to do a private class.
Yep.
I haven't found that necessary. It's kind of fun being with everybody anyway.
Yeah, it's kind of just whatever you're feeling. Private classes can be great if you maybe want to advance from, like, say you've been in a level 1 and you're a little worried about going up to a 1.5. Take a few privates just to get used to moving up. We have the Cadillac in there, which is the big reformer.
Yeah.
So you can do crazy stuff in there too if you want to challenge yourself.
Yeah, that's actually when I was doing those private lessons with Chrissy years ago. That's what she had.
The Cadillac.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun. It's like reformer, springboard, and other crazy stuff.
Yeah, we have to talk about the springboard too. There's so much here to talk about. So. We're at our first break already here. So,
wow, that flew by.
Yeah, flew by. So we'll get a little more of these different things. Then we'll start giving some demos here so that people get a little clue on what Pilates does.
Sounds great.
We'll be back here with Renata Beggan on Dr. Ed's show. Welcome back to the Dr. Ed Show. I'm Dr. Edmund Sulkowski, and we're here with Renata Beggan from Club Pilates, and we're discussing something that I think is so critical, and that's your core strength. Core strength is about walking, talking, breathing, sleeping even. What's it about posture? How does it help our posture?
Yeah, so back to that same powerhouse idea, once you get your core strengthened up, your posture will start to improve. So something that we do in class would be bridging. That works our whole front body and our whole back body, and it's everyone's favorite.
I got to tell you, when I first started doing this bridging stuff, Renata, I thought, oh man, but I actually look forward to it.
Yeah.
And that and planking, which we're going to talk
Planking.
about.
Yep.
And that was like, oh no, we're going to do planking, but now I can't wait to do planking.
Isn't that cool how you progress through and look forward to those things now?
You feel the difference, and you see the difference.
Yeah.
But posture is everything, because if your posture is not right, you're going to end up, as you age, doing this.
Yep.
You know.
Definitely.
And you know, my profession is I'm constantly in this position.
Yeah.
And you know, I worry about that. I see a chiropractor every week.
Yeah.
To keep me in alignment. You know, Pilates is tremendous in your ability to stay more erect.
Yeah. So one of the big things that we always talk about in class is rolling those shoulders down your back, right? And that automatically, when you do that movement, pulls your shoulders away from your ears, gets those shoulder blades, we call them, in your pockets on your back there. And that just makes you stand up a little taller, right? Thinking about keeping your neck nice and long. Those are all things that we always are focusing on in class, because we want to make sure that, you know, we're all like this on our phones, or,
everybody is,
you know, typing on our laptops.
Even driving, you think
yeah,
about
even
it.
driving,
Yeah.
you're sitting hunched over. So anything that we can do to kind of remind ourselves, like, pull those shoulders down, get that neck nice and long, that'll help you in the long run, just to keep all those muscles, you know, strengthened.
So I'm sitting here, I look at life as wearing uniforms. You know, we dress, go to church, we dress to go to dinner. Some of us do. You know, I have a certain uniform that I wear at work. This is my Pilates outfit.
Yep.
So how important it is to dress properly to go to Pilates class?
It's very important. We, you know, obviously we don't have our shoes on. We have our sticky socks on.
So
which is,
can we grab this on camera?
I'll show our socks off.
Can we get a focus of that? So I have, I don't know, 6-7 pairs of these. They've got sticky stuff. And why is that important?
Yeah, so we want you to make sure that you have those grippy socks on, because a lot of what we do is up on equipment and we don't want you to slide. So if you didn't have these grips on the bottom of your socks, your feet would be sliding all around. You wouldn't get good stability, and it could cause an injury, which obviously is what we want to avoid. So yeah, everyone, when they come into class, they know they need to have their grippy socks on, and it doesn't have to be a pair that you buy at the studio. You can get them on, you know, Amazon or wherever. But that's a big important thing for Pilates. And then it's also important to be in active wear, because not only for you to be comfortable while you're working out, but it's good for us to be able to see your body, to make sure that you're in the right alignment and your spine is right and everything looks good.
So yoga pants.
Yeah, yep.
So I tend not to, I like loose clothes. I don't like tight clothes.
Yeah.
So I tend to wear this kind of stuff, but it all works. You want to feel comfortable in whatever you're wearing to Pilates, and you're not going to do it in blue jeans.
No, yeah, you're not going to show up in, you know, jeans and a necktie or anything
Yeah,
like
no.
that. That would be crazy.
No.
But yeah, we want you to be comfortable, but we also want you to be able to move, and obviously layers are good, because some classes you'll start to get a little hot and need to take a layer off or put a layer on sometimes if we have the fans up really high, which we tend to do.
Yeah, you tend to do that. Yeah. And then our schizophrenic weather that we have here in Western Pennsylvania is always a treat.
Yeah.
You know, so it gets difficult, but you know, this is a typical uniform for me.
Yep.
And it works well for me.
Yeah.
You know, I tend not to wear a lot of jewelry. I wear my watch during the outfit and during the workout, because I'm always listening to music in my earbuds, which I don't know if you guys like or not, but I don't care.
We're like, it's all good. It's just all good.
I have open ear earbuds, so I can hear everything you're telling me.
Yes, as long as you can hear us, we're good.
And then I've been wearing this. I've got this Aura ring now that it's a biometric ring.
Yeah.
And but I notice a lot of women wear their jewelry when they're working out.
Yeah, I mean, it's really not. It's honestly whatever you're comfortable with. I tend to wear. I have like one of those silicone wedding rings instead of these these ones just because when I'm correcting people, I'm always afraid I'm going to scratch them or something. But I know a lot of people like to wear their Apple Watches so they can track their workouts, close those rings. That's important to people. But it's like whatever you're comfortable in. If you would wear it to go running or go to the gym, then it's fine to wear it to Pilates as well.
Is there any medical condition at all that somebody should avoid Pilates?
It's really just as long as you're cleared by your doctor for workouts and activity, you should be okay. We have modifications for everything. We have in our training, we are trained on what we call special populations. So it's just a litany of different injuries or any type of like autoimmune diseases that people have. We study in how to teach Pilates to those specific people. But it's really the biggest thing is we want to make sure that you're cleared by a medical professional to get into working out, and always letting us know. We need to be aware.
And that's important. You let somebody know that you have a problem there, and then all the instructors then know that.
Yes, yeah. So, and especially like if it's something that just happened, let us know. If you're a client who's been coming for a while and you get an injury, then we can really work with you in class to make sure that you're not going to hurt yourself more, but also strengthening everything around whatever that injury is to help.
So we talked earlier about the different levels, the intro, flow 1, flow 1.5. Can I just walk into a flow 1 class?
You can, yeah. You can purchase a 1 class pass and come into a flow 1. We've had people do that, and they are usually people who, yeah, it's usually someone who's active, kind of knows like, okay, I can handle a level 1. But I would always suggest obviously coming to the free intro first to kind of see what you're getting into. It's kind of intimidating to walk in and see all that crazy equipment and, you're not really sure what's going on.
Yeah, dwell into the equipment a little bit because it's a little, some of it's a little crazy. But there's terminology that's used during the class. Can you discuss some of that terminology for us?
Yeah, so we, starting just with the reformer, we always say bring the reformer home. And that's an example of when you just close the reformer. So when you're laying on it and you have your feet on that foot bar and you're extended all the way out, we'll say bring that reformer home, which just means close your reformer. So that kind of thing could be foreign to someone. They'll be like, what do you mean bring my reformer home? I can't pack this thing up and take it to my house kind of thing. Or we talk about springs, 2 reds, 1 blue. People may not know what that means.
So you have, about 6 springs?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yes.
So you have 2 greens, 2 reds, a yellow and a blue.
Yep.
So you put those on accordingly to the different exercise and the different resistance you want to have. So like sometimes when I'm not filling it, you'll say, I want 2 reds and a green. I go, I ain't filling that today, so I'll put 2 reds and a blue because it's a little less resistance.
Yep.
Or if I want more kind of weight training, although you do use weights, but we're not talking weights here, we're talking springs.
Springs, yeah.
You'll say, let's do 2 reds and a green, and that's for more weight resistance. And I'll go, I want more mobility movement today, stretching movement, and I'll do 2 reds and a blue.
Yep.
You guys don't get upset when anybody says, hey, I'm not listening to you.
No, as long as and that kind of just comes with like starting with that intro so you understand what the springs mean, and then moving into level 1s, and the more that you're in it, you can modify for yourself, right? So it's exactly what you said. If you're, tired that day, don't feel like getting into too much of that harder work, stick to the spring level that's comfortable for you. And we actually encourage that. Once you get familiar with it, adjust it to how your body is feeling that day.
I adjust it whether or not I've ridden my mountain bike the day before, or I'm going to ride my bike after the class.
After class, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's always, that's one of the great things about it too. It's accessible to everyone.
So one of the terms that was interesting that I had never heard until I started Pilates was tabletop. What's tabletop?
Yeah, so tabletop is when we're laying supine, which is on our back. That's another term.
That's another term. Yeah, well, we know supine. I knew supine was on your back, but most people probably don't.
Yeah, so that's just laying flat on our backs. And we find that neutral spine, right? That's another key Pilates term. That's when you have just that natural slight curve in your lower back as you're laying down. But tabletop is when you bend both knees. You have your knees right on top of your hips, and then your shins are parallel with the ceiling. So I always say in class, can I rest a tray on your shins?
And that's a difficult position to be in, actually.
It is, yeah.
It's difficult. Like even I had a class yesterday, and Maddie came and she lifted my legs up. Well, I was tired yesterday, and my legs started to droop a little bit, and I knew they were drooping, but it was the end of class. I didn't care, but Maddie cared,
yeah,
and
cared.
she said, "Get those legs up."
Yeah.
That's a hard position.
It
because
is.
you're laying down and your legs, your knees are up and your legs are out.
Yeah, so we're lengthening that lever is what we say. So the longer, like especially when we have our legs in tabletop and then we extend out to 45, you're lengthening that lever and those abs are really feeling it, right?
And then there's 90, 45, tabletop, and straight. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, so we hit that mostly when we're doing either arms and straps or legs and straps. So 90 is just feet are straight up to the ceiling. 45 in the studio is you're reaching for those blue lights. We have those strands of blue lights on the ceiling across from your reformer, and that would be your 45-degree angle. Then you go down to tabletop, which is a lot of your lower abs, which people don't realize. And then straight is when you're, really squeezing that core. Legs are straight out towards your foot bar,
And
which
what
is
the
tough.
heck is Pilates V?
So Pilates V is one of our favorite foot positions. It's your feet are literally in a V, so you connect those heels. And I always say, if I can fit a slice of pizza in between your feet, you're in a good Pilates V. But that helps with your rotation. It actually starts at your hips. So to find that turnout, you have to find it from your hips all the way down to your feet. And with that just works all of those muscles on the outside and inside of our thighs.
So whether your feet are this way or this way, because sometimes you'll do Pilates V with your toes.
Yes, yep.
It works different muscle sets.
Correct, yeah. So we're working on that ankle articulation and all of that hip mobility from that rotation. So when we do externally rotated, internally rotated, there's a reason for that.
So you have people that have arthritis to come in and do this, and they're able to do all of this even though they have arthritis. And it's probably helpful for them with their arthritis.
It is, yeah. So it's if they're having a flare-up, because arthritis can tend to kind of ebb and flow, come and go. If they're having a flare-up, that's when we'll modify down, not use so much resistance. If it's in their wrist, we won't have them do, arm work in straps. Maybe they grab a weight instead. But I found a lot of clients who have arthritis telling me that it hasn't been bothering them as much because, as I said with your knee, we're strengthening all the muscles around the pain area, and that'll help them get through it.
Yeah, it makes sense to me. So you have feet in straps. So what's feet in straps?
Feet in straps is everybody's favorite part of class. We typically do that towards the end of class. That's a good time to really stretch everything out. So that's you're laying supine on your back on your reformer. You reach back behind you and grab those straps and hook them around the arch of your foot. We have the longer straps that we use for this. And this is when we have those legs straight up to 90, and you'll do your lower and lift, your circles, and you get a really good stretch throughout your entire leg. But the whole time your core is still engaged, so you're still keeping those abs nice and tight.
And your breathing's engaged.
Yep, breathing's engaged.
But you're settling things down at that point.
Yes, that's kind of what we use as our cool down because you're getting a nice stretch. So I always say try to bring yourself back to your normal breathing rhythm, fill that air into your belly a little bit more, but still connect it to your movement.
And then you have bridging.
Yes, bridging is typically towards the middle of class because that'll fire everything up, get those hamstrings and glutes going a little more. But that helps with things like when you're in your car and you have to reach into the back seat to grab something. All of that, all of those muscles that we use every day, bridging will strengthen.
And planking.
Planking is a classic core move. We like to add it on and do it on the reformer, which makes it even harder because you're moving while holding your plank. That's all core, and that'll get into some shoulders as well.
And there's some stationary planking and there's some moving planking.
Yes.
Where you're making a circle as you're planking.
Yeah, so that's all that progressive work that we do. So that when you're moving, that'll be in a harder level class. But to start, we'll either start you down on your mat or we'll have you on the side of your reformer, forearms on your reformer planking.
And what is the box?
The box. That's one of our favorite props. So it's, like this long, probably that wide. It fits right on our reformer. And we use that to kind of elevate you during class. If we want to get you more resistance on your springs or less, we use it for when we're doing ab work on the reformer, when we sit and hook our feet under that strap and roll down the box and back up.
Which when I started I couldn't do, and now I can do it.
Yeah, that's all that core development.
Yeah.
Which is amazing that you can, work up to that. That's tough. It's not easy to go all the way back and all the way back up.
No, I would see some of the instructors demonstrating that and go like, oh man, how do you even do that? But as you work and you stay with it,
yeah,
you progress to that point.
Yep, that's the key. I think it was something like after 10 classes, you'll start to notice a difference. After 20 classes, your waist will be a little bit smaller. And then from there, it just keeps progressing.
I want to stay on the different things while we're talking about it because there's so many different props, as you call them. But is this a weight loss program?
Not necessarily a weight loss program. We always say if you're looking for weight loss, combine your Pilates practice with other types of workouts. So, maybe you do the gym one day and come to Pilates. Pilates is more about strengthening and lengthening your muscles. So it's not so much like if you're trying to lose, 100 pounds, you have to add in your nutrition and your different types of workouts. Pilates will take some inches off of your waist, tone up your arms and your legs a little bit, but it's really about keeping those muscles strong and long, which will help you every day instead of tightening everything up. But you'll see a difference. You'll notice a difference in the way that you stand, the way you walk, but it's not so much like it wouldn't be a core weight loss program.
What's the ball?
The ball is another prop that we like to use. It's like squishy, but also not squishy. I don't really know how to explain it, but we'll use that. You'll stick it in between your legs when you're doing bridging to help keep your hips nice and stable, or we'll use it underneath our head as a pillow when we're doing side lying work to help keep our spine nice and straight.
And that's the thing. There's not one position. All these exercises transform to different positions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Pilates really takes you, we say, around the world. So you'll be doing things on your side, on your back, on your other side, and on your stomach. So we always try to hit all planes of motion during class.
And what I've noticed is if you do something in one direction, the next exercise is a reverse of that. Why is that?
So that just is, we want to always keep the body even. So I don't know if you've heard during class, you might notice one side's harder than the other side. And that's because those muscles on the other side may not be worked the same way as they are on that side.
So the way someone is right-handed and left-handed.
Yes,
that
yes, way. Very similar to that. So we always like to flip it and reverse it, make sure you're getting your full body work in, and we also want to work both sides of your body.
So you're talking about balance here.
Yep, we want to keep you nice and balanced. Definitely.
And so there's the reformer, which we've talked about, but there's also something that stands vertical.
Yes.
What is that?
Yes, so that is our springboard. So Joseph took the reformer and turned it into the chair, which we can talk about next.
The
lovely
chair.
But the reason for that is because in New York, teeny tiny apartments, you couldn't fit a reformer in your apartment. So that's where the springboard originated too. So that goes on the wall. You have yellow springs at the top, which we use for our arms, and then purple springs at the bottom, which we use for our legs. And you can pretty much do everything that you do on the reformer up at the springboard. It just kind of takes away that movement, so you're a little more stable at the springboard. So it's a little more accessible we like to use that with our elderly clients or clients who might have knee problems or back problems. That way they can stand and be a little more stable on the ground.
And then let's talk about that dreaded chair.
Yeah, the chair. The chair is like the reformer on steroids, kind of. It's the springs are heavier no matter what setting they're on, just because it's just a tighter spring in general. And you have less space on that chair, so you're either sitting on it or laying on it.
So it looks like a stool.
Yep.
With a padded top.
Mm-hmm.
And then it has
pedal.
a bar that moves.
Mm-hmm.
A pedal.
Yep.
And then you do different exercises with your arms and legs off that pedal.
Yeah, so you can either be sitting on it with your feet on that pedal, doing your footwork. Sometimes we lay on our stomachs, use our arms. You can even connect springs to the side and do arms while you're using your foot pedal. So there's so much that we can do with the chair, and everyone hates it, but I love it.
Yeah, I'm one of those ones who's not fond of that chair
it's
either.
Tough. It's a hard one.
There's that one, I don't know what the exercise you call it right now, but you put your legs on the chair, and then you put your knees up against the top of the chair, and then you lift yourself up.
Yeah, the elephant.
Elephant, yeah. Boy, that's a tough one.
It is. It's tough. That's all core. That's just straight core.
That's really tough. So, but it's doable. You know, and
once you work up to it.
And I guess if you work up to it, you get better and better at it.
Yeah, for sure.
So what's your favorite exercise?
Oh gosh. I'm a big fan I love bridging. I feel like that helped me a lot. Just strengthening my core. I love to do circles with bridging. So when we lift up into our bridge, push out, hold our hips high, and then go all the way through. And then there's a step further where you push your whole body off of the reformer and keep your arms straight. And when you do your bridging, you dip your hips all the way down into the well. So it's just extending that movement further. So I think that would probably be my favorite right now.
So the well is where the springs are.
Yes, yeah. So when you push away, the springs are there, and you can kind of use that and dip into that, which is cool.
What's your least favorite?
I'm not a fan of planking. I know it's one of our core moves, but I've just never been good at it. I've gotten better since getting into Pilates and everything, but man, it's tough. When you're in it, 10 seconds feels like 10 minutes.
And then there's like single arm planking.
Yeah, you get into all that rotation, it can get challenging. But I think I don't like doing it, but then I also do like doing it because it's a challenge, and I like to be challenged during class.
Yeah, it is a challenge, and I like I say, when I first started, I was like, planking, oh my, but I actually look forward to doing it now.
Yeah, you kind of get past that like mental block of, oh crap, this is gonna be tough, but then you get better at it, and then it's fun.
And then in fact they'll do like, we're going to do it for 10 seconds. And it doesn't sound, 10 seconds does not sound like it's a long time, but it is a long time.
Yeah,
when you're
10
planking.
seconds, especially the way that instructors count. I'm always told I don't know how to count.
No, none of them do. They all.
Yeah, because 10 seconds turns into more like 30 seconds.
Yeah, or 5 more reps, and then it'll be, I'm counting them as like 10.
Yeah.
You know?
We tell little fibs throughout class to get you through, but we'll make sure you get a good workout in.
But I find myself when I do planking that when the 10 seconds is up and then get you back down on your knees, I stay up.
Yeah, you can hold it a little bit longer.
Hold it longer.
Yeah, and that's what we love to see. I love when people are pushing it a little further, those couple extra seconds before they come down.
What the heck's a cat-cow?
Cat-cow is a great spine stretch. That's another key point of Pilates. If you don't have a strong spine, then you're not going to be able to do anything else throughout the day. So cat-cow is when you're either on all fours on the mat or on your box, or you can be standing and doing it, but you find that nice like scaredy cat where they lift their backs up really high, and look like a upside down U almost. That's where we would find cat, and we inhale when we do that, and then we exhale and find some chest extensions and cow and really get that nice U.
We've been talking too much, and let's do some quick demos because we only have 5 minutes left.
Do you want to get down there, or do you want me to get down there?
We can do that, whatever you want to. Why don't you get down there?
All right, okay. So I did bring one of our favorite props, which is our magic circle.
That's one of your favorite props, not mine.
Yeah, it's our favorite torture device, but I'll show some things here. So the first thing I'll show you is what we talked about, which is tabletop. So I'm just gonna lay supine on my mat. My arms are gonna be nice and flat on my sides. I have that nice neutral spine. And when we find our tabletop, we always lift one leg and then the other. So your knees are right above your hips. Shins are nice and flat.
So you can put a tray up there, nothing's going to fall.
Yep, nothing's going to fall on you. So you're like a little table. And then from here, we can find some chest curls here, get some ab work in, and then you can hold your chest up, straighten those legs out to 45, pull them back in. And this is just where we find a lot of that good ab work. So
that's all core.
That's all core. So that's our tabletop. So then with this ring, I always like to add either, you keep your arms straight as you're doing ab work. So maybe our legs are up in tabletop. We keep that ring up there and we reach the ring up, roll back down, reach up, hold, get a nice squeeze, roll down. Another thing we like to do is put the ring on like a pair of pants, and then you can squeeze the ring while you're doing your bridging. Push out, work out all those muscles there.
And doing clams.
You can do clams with the ring.
What's a clam?
So a clam will work your glutes. That's when we do some side lying work. So you'll lay on your side. Usually you'll have a ball, or you can prop yourself up. Check that spine alignment. You keep your knees tucked in. Our ankles are connected, and we just open and close our knees like a little clam on the beach.
So it doesn't seem like much, but it does a lot.
Yeah, so that's another thing with Pilates. We're doing, you're not like moving around like crazy, but you're feeling that burn as you're working through it.
Can you show us a bridge?
A bridge? I sure can. So we'll just do another thing that's important is that spinal movement. So we do our articulating bridges. So you're like peeling your entire spine up off the mat and then lowering it back down. So you take a deep breath in, and then as you exhale, you roll your hips up, hold the bridge for a second, and then roll all the way back down. So that just works our whole spine, but that's our bridge. So it's easier down on the mat because you're not trying to fight with the carriage moving in and out, right? So when we're on the reformer, there's a potential of the carriage sliding out, so we have to use our glutes and our hamstrings and pull everything nice and tight. So then we also go into our hip hinging bridges, which is just straight up.
That's more of a flat bridge.
Yep, and up and down. So that's all core work, all your back. It just works everything. So that's why we love bridging.
How about a plank?
Oh gosh, you're gonna make me do a plank?
Yeah.
All right, I'll face this way. So we can do modifications with planks. You can either be up on your wrists or you can go down on your forearms if this is too much weight in your wrists. But you just hold your nice lovely plank here. You can turn and rotate, get some spine rotation in, come back down. Another favorite of ours is that shifting the weight forward and back, squeezing that core, holding those hips down nice and tight. And then the reward is always coming down and stretching into that nice child's pose.
So that's a child's pose, which is another term that you use.
Yep.
And then you have dog leg.
Oh yeah, the fire hydrant.
Yeah.
Or we do bird dog.
Bird dog.
So that's one that we find in our quadruped position, which is when we're just kneeling. We have 4 points down on the mat. And bird dog is when you get that core nice and tight and you lift one leg and one arm.
Which you think is easy, it's not.
It's really not. And then you switch, and sometimes we'll make you hold it here. We love to pulse.
Yeah, pulsing is another big one.
Yeah, so pulsing is just like we find that little extra burn, that extra push, and that also keeps those muscles engaged the whole time. And that we always say tiny, right? 1 inch up, 1 inch down. Then you feel the burn as you're working through class.
Could you demonstrate a cat cow?
Oh yeah, sure. So this is another one when we're on our mat. We'll do it in quadruped here. So you do that deep inhale and you find that nice scaredy cat working through that entire spine. And then as you exhale, we find our happy cow in a field. I like to add some imagery in.
Awesome.
Nice high cat and cow.
All right.
Yeah. So that's our fun Pilates moves on the mat.
So I want to thank you very much, Renata, for coming on. And,
Thank you.
And I think people are going to find this very interesting because it's so beneficial.
Definitely.
And I'm so thrilled that I reunited with Pilates again because it's helped me tremendously.
That's great.
And my recommendation is you guys look into it.
Yeah,
Except
for sure.
don't take the classes I want to take.
There you go.
It's getting hard for me to get in there.
Yeah.
We're at the end of the show, Renata. You can go to, what's the website?
So Club Pilates McMurray is where you would find all of the information, but come to a free intro class. That's the best way to get all the information.
You can call them and get scheduled for that because there's an app. Everything is done by app these days. You know, we live on an app and on an iPhone. What kind of life is that? But anyway, that's where everything is.
That's just how
I
it
mean,
is
people
now.
even regulating their pacemakers by an app.
I know.
But anyway, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you.
I'll see you in an upcoming class.
Yep,
I have
we'll
one
see you
scheduled
soon.
today, actually. Remember, healthy pet, healthy you, happy you. You can listen to me live every Saturday morning on Dr. Ed Show, AM 1250 The Answer, 9 a.m. We'll see you next time on Dr. Ed Show. God bless.